Alright, welcome to chapter 23 of this simple, humble, completely innocuous Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Edition tabletop role-playing game. Set in New York City, May 1998. Would any of you like to provide the recap of what happened last session?
Byron lost a Ventrue fight, an insult contest, and he's pretty bummed about that with a child of Michaela. So shit happened.
David wanted to pimp slap a Ventrue, but couldn't because he was invisible. Oh, also, progress on controlling the 114th precinct. But that's minor compared to the other thing.
Marcus drove up to Yonkers in the suburbs of NYC, met a crazy old man who required a payment of a live person to do with as he pleases, I'm assuming nefarious things, all to get rid of a little girl who's a ghost.
And Joseph kind of befriended the little ghost girl.
You also try to give that same Ventrue nightmares.
Yeah, but that was a failure, so we don't talk about that.
Alright. There is, of course, hypothetically a Twitch stream, although now today Jordan's audio is apparently going bonkers, so, well, as long as Hexrat's cats don't sabotage the TeamSpeak, we'll be good to go, in theory. Alright. Well, we left off on Friday, May 8th, 1998. That sounds like a familiar day to me. Although, I don't know. Like Friday morning? Yeah, we'll go with it. And if we're repeating days, well, it's a sign of Gehenna. No one notices. Some sort of true Brujas fucking with the time stream. Totally. That's the day we'll begin, though. Friday, May 8th, 1998. Starting at around, few minutes after 10 p.m., whenever you four individuals who all have a humanity of 6 awaken roughly at the same time, expending a point of vitae in the process as the undead energies flow through you and force your souls back into the land of the living, where it always feels you don't belong. All the same, you are here, and here you are. In regards to things that might be immediately confronting you, I don't know. Has David moved into the new warehouse yet?
No, I'm still waiting to find out whether or not he was able to splice in the city utilities.
Was that another thing I forgot to say? God damn it, Grimith. Oh, I thought I told you that was fine. I guess I didn't.
I might have forgotten.
Yeah, David Green certainly, with his competency and capabilities and the amount of excess and things that get misplaced here, I suppose for cool's sake you could give me a dexterity plus larceny at difficulty 5.
Alright, let's give it a roll. Would precise apply here? Or is there no, is there nothing going on with the utilities that requires that level of precision?
I'll go ahead and say sure, it applies. With 5 successes, with the one subtracting one of the ones, David manages. Manages so well that he thinks that, no one will ever notice.
Until they need to refit the utility system anyway.
Yeah. And even then it might just be something that inconveniences him rather than, hey, this particular asshole's been siphoning power at this location.
Alright, then, while David is not going to be moving in there just yet, he will start setting up security systems and locks and all that sort of stuff.
Alright. Where is that on the map? You can place your new haven wherever you'd like.
Can I get a little thingamajig? Oh wait, I can like hold space to show it or something? I was thinking there-ish, kind of up close to the Steinway warehouse area. Close enough for there to be, you know, plenty of fucking warehouses.
Like there?
Maybe a little bit further into Astoria. Not quite on the road right there. Yeah, that's about fine.
You are... Domain security has gone up to 2, by the way. Well, of course, back when Vargas was still alive, it used to be 3. But originally, until these matters had been worked on, it had only been 1.
That's still a big improvement.
Definitely. Okay. Well, in regards to you all individuals waking up, I don't think there's anything particular craze that's going to strike you all. Certainly Marcus has his own little issues there flittering at the edges of his consciousness. However, it seems as if his mind has achieved some greater sense of peace or resolve since the prior morning, and for whatever sort of reason, perhaps the hyper-awareness he's had as of late with what the ghost has done to him has forced him into an acute sense of awareness. Or, regardless, all could be something he's imagining in his own head, but at least for the time, he feels better than he has in a while. Joseph, on the flip side, awakens with the realization that there is the ghost of a murdered girl in his church who has seen fit to perhaps hinder his life as well as the lives of his retainers more than help, and well, naturally there would be, during the day, visitors to the church in the form of perhaps homeless seeking shelter, or seeking guidance, or just seeking a place to sit for a few hours. Right?
Yeah.
There have been unfortunate circumstances where, there was one point in the prior day, a pot of hot coffee went tilting over, seemingly by accident. Someone must have jittered it a bit too much, and it sprayed all over that person and a person standing next to them. There was another person who reported to have the visions of the Lord strike him directly in the head. Babbled a bit incoherently before falling unconsciousness. There were 2 other individuals who apparently saw the stigmata of Jesus as he was being crucified upon a cross. The Craig and Rain are not quite sure what to make of this, as, obviously, some of the individuals who've come into the church have not been the most mentally stable. However, as they are aware that there is a ghost who has now seen fit to insert herself into their lives, basically through proxy by inserting herself into your life, the little girl doesn't really have any sense of, I suppose, working conveniently with the hopes and dreams of the church. And she's made a nuisance for herself, and perhaps if this continues, Joseph could reason out that it's going to give the church, well, perhaps even worst case, a haunted sort of, imagining.
That is probably unfortunate. He'll probably be doing things to try to change that in the coming nights.
Okay. Certainly something to think about, though. As for David and Byron, they arrived just fine. No complications. No one's left messages with them. Because the storyteller doesn't think anyone would have, racking through his brain. But it's also fathomable that he forgot something. And as such, you individuals are free to carry about your night as you see fit.
Well, mine's fast. I'm just going to hunt 3 times and get blood pulled back because Byron Rand doesn't really want to deal with anyone right now. He's still ticked off about Gavin Andrews.
All right, in that case, that'll take care of you for 3 in-game hours. Go ahead and make all of your hunting tests now. Difficulty 3. Byron succeeds. Okay, Byron's taken care of for a little bit. What about the other 3-player characters?
David's going to go through his normal evening routine of, shower, put on a nice suit, and then he's going to try for the first real time to give himself an ugly but human appearance with a Mask of 1,000 Faces.
Okay. Let's see here. The player rolls manipulation plus performance difficulty 7 to determine how well the disguise works. In that case, Aaron, go for it. Two successes means that Nosferatu ends up standing in front of a mirror, perhaps at his bathroom after he's taken a shower and dressed up in a suit, begins to focus and channel the powers granted to him by the sewer rat bloodline through Essence Kane to, for the first time he can ever recall, change how he looks, and to his extent, after some considerable focus and concentration, he would definitely say that he's actually, certainly the mortal tendency would be to actually think of someone else they see as a human being anyway. David certainly think he got that. Looking completely unlike himself at all. He's some other sort of ugly creature. But everything is different. Perhaps you can give yourself like a low brow or heavy set eyes or, rather brows or, eyes scrunched up too close together or some sort of excessive overbite or underbite. But David Green certainly accomplished this task there.
And even a nose.
I know.
Alright. And then for the first time in a while, probably, he's just going to go take a walk.
Right. David certainly manages to get some looks as he's walking around for the massive amount of cosmetic work he just did. He still has an appearance of 0. He didn't try to make himself more attractive and thus have to spend points of blood in the process. But as it turns out, people don't like to stare at ugliness. People like to ignore it as best as they can. And as such, David finds himself feeling as if he's actually using Obfuscate too. And that people, they noticed him. And they're aware of him at the edges of their peripheral vision. But they don't pay him any mind or attention at all. Without direct confrontation. Especially here at 10:15 p.m. at night.
It's still nice to be able to walk around without being invisible. After that, he's probably going to go and, for once, actually just purchase supplies to help deal with refitting that warehouse, instead of, stealing the supplies and leaving money behind.
Okay. David Green is certainly capable of doing that now. Marcus?
Well, first things first, Marcus is going to dial up Joseph again tonight. See how he's doing with it. Joseph, how's the ghost thing?
I guess going fairly well.
Learning anything new? Meaning, might make it a bit easier if we knew something more about her.
Yeah, I know. If I learn something, I'll keep you posted.
Okay. And then Marcus will hang up. And then Marcus will hang up and be like,
Alright, well, Marcus is going, what does Joseph want to do after that, phone call? It's fair to say that Marcus is, persistent, and, well, he apparently doesn't suspect you of perhaps lying or sandbagging him. He's obviously interested, and, learning more information about the creature responsible for giving him horrific nightmarish visions every day, every moment of his life.
Well, so it's Joseph. I think he's actually going to mention to the ghost, don't know if she'll respond or anything, but another idea, the possibility that the reason she's stuck is because her killer's still out there. And then, barring no response, I think
There's actually going to be a response from that. The little girl is going to manifest herself again visibly, perhaps, a respectable distance, 10 feet away from Joseph. And sort of look at him and study him. Her arms are crossed over her little chest as she stares up at Joseph and she says, "Where?"
I don't know. I'm actually going out to look to see if I can find that.
Little girl cocks her head. Marcus, he keeps calling you and the others. Maybe you need more help on this one. I mean, you always try to do things on your own. Didn't you say that? Friends don't keep secrets from each other? Or rather, I did, and you agreed with that. Right?
Yeah, I'll, I have called them, and we've actually had, one of our friends, Byron, was looking up information on, your killer, and, so we are talking.
Well, do you need anything from me to help you find him? I don't know much. If I knew where he was, then... She lets that trail off.
There might be something you know, but if you do know something, I wouldn't know where to start with asking. If I think of something that you might be able to answer, I'll ask, but I can't think of what would be helpful.
Okay. And, she cocks her head like, maybe I can help you too. And, she takes one of the little small hands and, it turns it into a pointed finger and rather wags it at Joseph. Maybe if you'd like to better protect your friends, you need to make sure they feel like they can actually trust you, Joseph.
Yeah, that is a good point. Um, hmm. I wonder what would be the best way to do that.
She shrugs, laughs. Silly, they're your friends. You just let it happen. If it can't, then you need to find some new friends. With pretty much all of the seriousness and severity the 6-year-old visage can muster. One with a gaping hole along her throat.
Joseph will probably nod, laugh. Then I think, say, well, I'm headed out to look for more information then.
Okay, bye. And she disappears.
I'm sorry. I think Joseph's going to head out down towards Astoria.
Okay. Oh, we'll look at Marcus again. After that illuminating and elucidating call with Joseph, is Marcus still in the whole sort of contemplating mood?
Yeah, he's sort of been like, But after maybe like 10 minutes of that, he's like, well, I really can't. It's like I really can't get Joseph to tell me if he knows anything. I mean, I could try. Yeah. Marcus is like, I guess I'll just go out and party for tonight. One night of partying won't hurt. It's not like there's the looming sort of death hanging over us or anything.
Okay.
Right?
In that case, Joseph will find his way into Astoria. What's Joseph doing in Astoria?
I think calling up Star.
Okay. Well, late Friday night. Does Bridget Starr do anything other than work? Good joke. You, phone rings at her desk a few times before she picks up, and you can hear her sort of gruff, coffee-laced voice. Star?
Hi, Star. It's Joseph.
Joseph.
Cheung?
Yes. Yes, that Joseph. You and your friends are strange bedfellows, keeping the oddest of hours. Anyway, what is it? Something interesting?
Speaking of our friends, one of my friends recently asked to see your archives.
Yes, the microfilm. What's that all about?
Um, it's actually about a cold case related to, the Majestic.
Really? I did hear someone actually picked up that location. Quite recently, rather a curious fact that is. The building seemed slated for condemning and for destruction all these years.
Yeah, we're, actually hoping to do some good in the area. That said, certain things were found in the building, and, we now believe that there was an unsolved series of murders related to it.
Certain things? Joseph would easily be able to tell, being a law enforcement officer in his past life and having worked with the media at points, that you have definitely piqued her interest.
Oh yeah, I'm not so certain that it would be a too big a thing to keep this from her. Um, yeah, I essentially, I want to come down and I want to look through the microfilm again. I'm afraid, my friend, wasn't, didn't quite know what he was looking for. And I want to see if there's some kind of record that would indicate what we found is authentic, rather than a hoax or something.
She, thinks for a few seconds. Sure, shouldn't be a problem so long as you're out by 5.
Thank you. I'll be down in just a moment.
Okay. Upon Joseph's arrival, he'll notice sort of skeleton and crew of people who might work in the neighborhood. Since this is only like a sort of like a neighborhood type thing rather than a major newspaper, really there's no one here except for her and for you. And her, for her part, she shows Joseph the microfilm room of all the stuff, and Joseph then gets the sense that Bridget is now hovering around him, sort of, asking in that sly reporter way. Joseph probably wouldn't notice this normally, where, he not several decades older than he actually, well, not several decades older than he actually looks, but older than what he looks, with a wealth of experience, including law enforcement, just time around reporters dealing with them. She's just, curious about the situation, wants to know, what you found, why you might think it's a hoax, what gives you suspicion it's real, what you're actually looking for in the microfilm rooms, if she can help you, sort of things, why you haven't gone to the police yet. They might be interested, but then again, the police tend to be pretty jaded, and the cold cases are cold for a reason. Sort of thing. Try to make small talk. Ask you if you want some coffee to drink.
He'll give half answers to most of her questions. He will mention that there was appeared to be a secret in the Majestic. Won't say what was in it, other than something that makes him believe that there was a killer that may have worked out of there. It may have been a hoax though, and he knows the police very well. So he is certain that if he just handed over to them at this late stage, that it's just be another cold case. And so he wants to look into it and see if he can present something actually substantial to go off of.
Alright. Well, with that sort of response, eventually, Brigitte will end up leaving him alone, to, look through these things on his own. And in regards to that, what's Joseph looking for in the microfilm?
I honestly don't know. It's the only thing I can think of that would have significant records that may talk about deaths or things, particularly deaths of children, missing children, things like that get reported in newspapers. Anything related to the Majestic at all. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that he'd necessarily be looking for specifically.
Well, Joseph does know the name of the ghost. He could perhaps,
Yeah, certainly looking for anything to do with her at all. Anything or anything to do with her family name.
Yeah. What years is Joseph going to be trying to sift through?
I don't remember the year that hitting thingy first was first indicated in the blueprints.
That would be an early 1963 change. You're looking at about January or February, whenever that particular sheet of the blueprints was made.
Yeah, anything after that, then.
Okay. I'll have you do some rolls later. That'll put us with David, who's just made his shopping purchases.
All right, David's going to take his supplies on over to his new warehouse haven.
You got a physical description of this place for us as you arrive?
Well, I think it was mostly just a semi-large warehouse with all of the windows covered up from the inside. An extremely generic and plain-looking building.
Okay.
Probably, brickwork and sheet metal.
Alright. And David spends his time doing that then, trying to set up his security systems.
Or at least some of them. The bare minimum.
Alright. That's well, wouldn't be funsies if we didn't have a roll already. Give me an intelligence plus technology at difficulty 4, Aaron.
Alright.
He's done this before. He had to learn the hard way with the first haven he set up, and of course all the time he spent before that trying to set up his havens.
Yeah, because that previous haven wasn't his first haven, it was just his first haven in Astoria.
Yeah. David certainly remembers from all of the prior mistakes of trying to wire this shit together.
I mean, he has a couple of setbacks, clearly, but,
Works, damn wiring, he might, just sort of like improvise a situation. Like the cord might not be long enough, so he gets some other shit to work in. But he's clearly adept at the wiring of his new establishment. He'll be able to handle that just fine.
Cool. So I think that basically what he's trying to do at the moment is set up some basic cameras, put in some locks, and maybe some door bars too.
Okay. In that case, we'll advance all the way to about 1:12 in the morning whenever Byron finishes hunting.
Yeah, well, as soon as Byron finishes hunting, I guess he will, he hadn't had much luck in the past, but, he'll head on over to Elysium. I guess he'll go to the garden first and see if anyone is about. In the back of his head is, he wants to see if, not that, it's too soon, but he's impatient, but he's going to see if word's gotten out about Gavin or if he kept his mouth shut, and he's going to try to do some damage control. Like he'll talk with people and try to put on his best face or whatever.
Oh dear Lord in heaven, Byron. Damage control. This is, on the list of things Byron may or may not have wanted. This, the storyteller's actually not sure where this is on the list. As he, arrives at Madison Square Garden. Sees some security forces, out and about exerting their subtle pressures. Walking in, though, it's not overly active, but there are definitely the usual sort of meetings, as this is neutral and safe ground by which, exchanges may take place. As it turns out, there are 3 particular individuals who will catch Byron's eye from quite the distance. Sort of grouped up as they are. They're not even like sitting down. They're just standing in one particular section of Madison Square Garden talking. The first off is the Keeper of Elysium, Valentine. In his fucking immaculately dressed, rakish appearance, being the latest epitome of fashion sensibilities that any sort of self-respecting Ventrue would end up being. The second individual of the group ends up being another one of the Nosferatu, who I will throw down for you on the map. Byron recognizes her as Gabriel Tassinelli, another one of Prince Michaela's children. She keeps her domain actually close to Gavin's. In her domain, you're sort of thinking, you think she's a French native. She has that accent, that lilt to her voice, as well as basically her mannerisms. In her domain, she's got a bunch of upscale boutiques, as well as trendy dining establishments that's been recently built within that area. She's definitely one of the city's ancillary as well. She participated extensively in the battle for New York, and being one of Prince Michaela's children, she has been here for longer than most of the kindred have in the city. The third individual in the group, they're all talking politely and laughing and having simple pleasantries, is Gavin Andrews. Dressed as smugly and as smartly as he ends up being, and the more time he's had to think about it, Byron has certainly recalled that over there in Gavin's domain, it's not as big as a story is, but he tends to have, he's got a lot of full of, you can actually click on the domain circle. I did provide descriptions for those. His domain is full of luxury condominiums, representative of the area's gentrification. And he does appear younger than the two. He's sort of like in his late teens, that aspect, compared to Gabrielle, who looks to be in her mid-20s, and Valentine, who appears to be in his early 30s. But, vampire ages are naturally deceptive as well, and for as thin and railbone as he is, Byron will certainly recall the smarting, the smarting series of insults delivered to him. They appeared not to have noticed him yet, so Byron is actually capable of avoiding the situation altogether, and, leaving Madison Square Garden, if he so wishes. Obviously, of course, the rules of Elysium being that this is neutral ground, meaning that no confrontations, particularly not in front of the Keeper of the Elysium. Byron also knows that he can possess a bit of temper, and that no physical, or rather fights in Elysium, is a two-way street. And if he loses control as well, there's Archon Theo Bell to answer to. But perfectly capable, they don't appear to have noticed him, he can just walk away.
Yeah, I'm thinking. What would Byron do? Is there anybody else around Elysium that he can make small talk with. So he's not totally obviously just hanging around to see if Gavin or Gabrielle might leave for a moment, because he would like to chat with Valentine if he gets to be alone at some point.
Sure, there's one or two other individuals, perhaps even Charles Smith himself is here, people that Byron knows on sort of an acquaintance level. Yeah, we'll go ahead and say that he's here. Your old Ventrue friend who didn't know Dominate at all because his sire didn't even teach it to him, and in return taught you the secrets of fortitude. Other than that,
I'm just
you can ask
laughing
yourselves.
I'm not sure what Sean just wrote. Anyway, yeah. Well, just so everyone knows, this is one day before his, not that it matters, but he has a 1-point blood bond with Charles Smith. This is one day before the 3 months would have been up on that. So he's met him again. They'll renew the clock. Not that it matters.
You know, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Byron actually talked to Charles about the thing last night. He needs someone to talk to about it, and eventually will know more than anybody else how fucked he is, basically. And he's going to say, look, man, this is it. I was trying to clear things up, and that guy Gavin, just total jerk. And I kind of lost my cool a little bit.
Charles Smith, your friendly Ventrue acquaintance, he finds the story amusing, but sort of tells you to cool down about it. Obviously, these snobbish children of Prince Michaela are horrendously stuck up and have an unrealistic view of themselves and their place here. Certainly, they are rather strong-willed, especially as some of them have been ousted by, other Ventrue, rather, since Prince Michaela's final death, as well as the full takeover of the neighborhoods, the boroughs, by the Camarilla. But, Charles Smith, he's in the same boat as Byron. Sort of tells him to calm down, it's fine. Every now and then, it's gonna happen. Sometimes you just end up on the wrong side of a situation, and you just have to deal with it as best as you can. It's unfortunate that the person who got the drop or advantage on Byron is another Ventrue, but perhaps that's actually for the better. It would be rather unseemly if Byron were to, say, lose a repartee with a Toreador.
Byron would snort at that too. Yeah, I'm just ticking myself. That's all. It's I'm glad you were here and put things in perspective. It's been and Charles Smith probably knows this about Byron. He tends to overanalyze things and get anxious about them. And so he's like, yeah, I've just been thinking for like the whole night. It's like, what the fuck? What am I going to do? This is annoying as hell, kind of thing.
He shrugs, sort of like it's just got to be like one of those joking things, a teasing anecdote, but it ultimately doesn't change the scene at all. It's really what you do after this. You're going to have, another chance to, perhaps get your vengeance, whatever that might need to be. After all, we're kindred. We're mortal. We kind of have a while.
Byron will smirk and say, that is true. I do have some difficulty taking the long view on occasion, as you well know. But I think you put it in perspective. That's fine. And at that point, who knows how long this conversation went. He's going to try to surreptitiously glance in the direction those three people were before and see if they're still there chatting or if they've split up yet.
Let's see here. We'll have some fun with this one. Who has gone away? Alright. Actually ends up being Gavin, who, sometime during the conversation without Byron's notice, perhaps because he didn't want to think about him, due to Charles Smith's laid-back influence, gone, leaving Gabrielle and Valentine, who are rather loquacious and sort of amused with each other as they're talking about whatever it is Ventrue talk about, which, as Byron is a Ventrue, knows that it could be all sorts of interesting, salacious topics.
Right. Well, now that Gavin is gone, and I'm sure Gavin told Gabrielle all about it, if not Valentine, but I guess Valentine will casually make his way towards
Valentine's going to casually make his way towards Valentine?
Yes, he is going to split off, and Byron will casually make his way towards Valentine.
Okay.
And, you know, if Byron can tell by body language, you know, that it would not be a good idea, he will probably just come up there and say, you know, he'll just, well, anyway, I'll play it by ear. We'll see if there's any body language involved as they notice him.
Let's see here. Alright. I suppose empathy would be the best situation. To get, like, some sort of, sort of like a read on a situation here. Give me a perception plus empathy at difficulty 6. With 4 successes, you know, as Byron, you know, breaks off from Charles Smith and exchanging several pleasantries, and he begins making his approach. First off, Gabrielle and Valentine are speaking to each other in French. Second off, you know, as they both sort of catch the approach of Byron, it's not as if they look angry at him. Valentine has his natural amused at everything expression, which is, for one, maddeningly hard to read. And could mean just about anything. Even, I'm just amused in general. Whereas Gabrielle, her lips appear to curl upward wider. And the sighting of Byron. Perhaps, you know, maybe a joke or a few jokes had been exchanged concerning Byron Rand. But then again, you know, you think about it, Gabrielle and Valentine, you know, they both appear to be Europeans as well, and Gavin had quite the rude approach towards those, or maybe it was just some sort of facade he put out for Byron, who knows? Regardless, you know, it doesn't seem like they're immediately going to tease you and make fun of you about it. They don't turn their backs on you and walk away from Byron as he makes his approach.
And that was his worst fear, that Gabrielle wasn't too worried about, but if Valentine had kind of turned his shoulder towards him to ward him off, he would have been crestfallen. It would have ruined his month. So, yeah. Well, in that case, if Byron did notice they were speaking French, he will walk up to both of them and give kind of a, I don't know, one of those 3-inch bow nods, you know, and say, you know, bonjour, do you mind if and I'll speak in French. I'm not going to make you listen to my awful French accent.
Fine. Byron understands and can speak French fluently as well, so it's no difficulty for him at all to insert himself into a conversation.
Right, so you'll say, hello, I just wanted to say hi to Valentine while I was here. Do you mind if I join you? I mean, he's going to go the extra mile to be over polite since apparently he wasn't with Gavin.
Yeah. Yeah. They both look at each other and they sort of chuckle. Valentine lifts a brow and says, still smarting from your meeting last night with Gavin, Byron? Gabrielle finds this amusing.
Yes, he made some wisecracks on my European origin, and I admit I lost my cool. He definitely got the better of me in that exchange.
At this point, Gabrielle shrugs and says, that is actually Gavin's sort of field. He sees it as his responsibility to try to get under anyone's skin, particularly our own, as part of his clan, in the hopes of, I think he says, bolstering our mental strength and resolve so that we never lose a repartee with one of those damn fool degenerates.
I don't know. I figure just bring a sparkler anywhere you go and you can distract him long enough to win any argument.
They both laugh at this. Valentine ends up saying, from as far as I'm aware, he was perhaps just a little miffed that someone had attempted to get close to his ghoul, regardless of whether you had known or not. I'm sure that, given the passage of time, Byron, you could perhaps find a suitable means of sharing how you feel about the situation really to him. It happens.
Oh, no, and I fully understand his position, and when I approached him last night, I was trying to make sure that he did not have a relationship with this person, and I was going to back off. I did not want to cause any trouble, but alas, conversation took a turn in the other direction.
Valentine quirks his head. Besides, given your all sorts of fun dealings with those outside of our clan as part of your coterie there in your Astoria, as well as sort of rumors and tidbits about your involvement with the Archon, and what your group has done and what it's capable of doing, particularly after the horrendous attack by that grotesque beast, it's fair to say that maybe Gavin might be a little jealous of you. To which Gabrielle giggles and offers a plaintive shrug, as that could be the case. Or it could be that Gavin's a dick.
Both could be true. One does not exclude the other.
That is true.
Well, after at that point, Mom said, well, I suppose I've taken up enough of your time. I mainly wanted to comment to Valentine that it looks like Elysium's getting back into the swing of things after the event. And I don't even remember out of character when it was. What was it, like 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks? The Tentacle Rape Fest?
Is that how Byron remembers it in his head?
Oh my gosh. Yes, because, he fled with, he didn't botch, but he did flee. And he had to make what? He still doesn't have all his willpower back from that. He's still a little emotionally scarred from that.
I mean, it's definitely been like in the 2 week range. It hasn't been any longer than that, though.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, Byron would say it looks like things are sort of getting back to normal here. It looks like people aren't. Are not as scared of more monsters erupting from the floor.
Okay. Valentine nods with that, and Gabrielle ends up saying, the only monster we have to worry about is Carter Vanderweyden. With a he's a Malkavian thing. Byron can definitely fuss that out. Fucking Malkavian.
And Byron will just say, but what's the alternative? I mean, it's like a rhetorical question. He's not actually asking.
Gabrielle will let out a puff of air that sort of tosses her blonde hair a bit. Valentine sighs and nods on his own. Yes, unfortunately, that is the situation we are in. But I would not be so concerned about that. Carter is but a means to an end, and I am sure that soon enough there will be someone more fitting for the position.
Byron will raise an eyebrow, then nod. It's like, well, I'm sure you know more about it than I do. I will take your word for it and take comfort in it. Because yes, I'm not crazy about a Malkavian on the Princeton either.
And there a little bit of Byron's time can go more as he continues to engage in light pleasantries before he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, he's out the door. I mean, you're just like, nice meeting you, Gabrielle. He may have met her briefly before, and he'll say, and then he'll say the same to Valentine and head on out. And,
Okay. Is he heading back to Astoria?
Yeah. He won't get back till like 2:30, so I guess he'll do. Aaron kind of reminded me that Byron just had this construction on his house for the last few weeks he's been putting off, and he's going to go down there and look, and I don't even know how far he's gotten on the tunnel he's trying to make to the drainage area in the basement. 2-3 inches maybe.
Well, Byron is not a man of dedication unless it is something that personally motivates him. He's apparently not giving it that much thought.
Yeah, there were a few nights way back that he did it. He probably spent maybe 2 or 3 nights total figuring that stuff out, which means he probably stared at it a while. I can't imagine. He knows what he wants to do, but he's not sure where to start.
Right, and it's not like, like, he has the plan in his head. It's like, can I, like, ask someone to do that? I don't know. I'd have to let someone into my haven. I can't just let the people into my haven, right? I gotta take care of this myself. But yeah, maybe if I look at it really cross.
Well, I mean, in that case, he might, let's just say he bought some tools in preparation just to make it. That's one of the things he did to, like, procrastinate. He bought sledgehammers, shovels, and all that type of stuff. And let's say that he takes Charles Smith's words to heart, and also he's a little comforted by the fact that at least he wasn't kicked in the rear end by the other two Ventrue. But he's going to blow off a little steam. He's going to see if he can make any headway. And he's going to burn off a couple blood points doing that, just in strength, and see if he can get a hole made in the next few hours.
All right. What does he increase his strength to?
Oh, helps if I press the talk button. 4 is what I'm going to just do. 2 blood points.
Okay, let's for this sort of exertion with the plan in your head. Let's see a strength plus athletics roll at difficulty 6 for Byron Rand. Combination, of course, of the strength combined with the talent and aptitude to properly implement the tools.
A whole lot of nothing.
Byron will sort of realize over the few hours that wow, he these sort of the tools that he bought, he's definitely seen people use them before, and he's of course wielded a sledgehammer himself before. He ends up stopping more than he starts because he's envisioning the plan in his head. He sort of like pencils it down to his own. All right, I want to go here. This is what I want to do. I'm like, I don't want to accidentally, break the foundation of anything. I want to make this as inconspicuous as possible. With the failure there, he does get some work done, but his heart then sort of slips a bit into his old sort of ways, where he just rather muddles about and mires about it a bit. I mean, there's definitely some dedication there whenever he starts, but He manages to lose it. Like, do I really? This is not really the thing for me. Come on. I can do this later.
I think that since he's in the privacy of his own home and he has had a rough few days, that if it doesn't immediately start happening the way he wants, of course, and it doesn't, he's just going to get a thing where he just goes crazy and just starts wailing at one spot, kind of loses his cool for a second because he's in private. Not frenzy, mind you. He's going to, say, man, I just want to break something, damn it. And he's going to start smacking stuff. And so that probably
and then
doesn't
Byron realizes he's great at breaking things. It's just,
yeah, so we'll just say that whether or not he spends the full 3 hours, it's stop and go regardless, and he's probably, we'll just leave it at that. Let's say he breaks some, he makes a dent. We'll put it like that. He makes a dent in the wall.
There we go. Okay. We'll focus now on Joseph, who is delving and dipping into the year 1963 through the microfilm. Let's go ahead and, I gotta make up something on the fly here. Give me, over these series of hours, we're gonna go ahead and say that you arrived around midnight, so you have a total of 5 hours. We'll have this like an extended success roll. The roll you're going to be making is Perception plus Investigation at difficulty 7. With 6 hours to go, your target number of successes you need to reach is a total of 8 successes. With further successes beyond that yielding you more information, and fewer successes yielding nothing. The first hour then ends up yielding 2 successes. That's a total of 5 after the second hour. And you have 8 successes there after the third hour. As such then, Joseph ends up sifting through all this information now that he has a better sense of target year, and maybe he's just better at looking through things than Byron is, which isn't any stretch of imagination whenever it comes to staring at a lot of small print and text. There was a mysterious disappearance noted sometime in the third week of July of a little girl who was 5 named Penelope Nelson by 2 parents, Steve and Jessica Nelson. Had reported her missing. She had gone missing on July 6, 1963. There was a night when they were at the Majestic watching a movie filming. They had gone back to the car. Apparently, the mother had left her purse inside. They actually both went back in to get it. And, the little girl was fine in the car. When they got back, she was gone. And with all sorts of delays, get a parent, the police are like, no, we gotta spend some time for missing persons report, even though the girl just fucking vanished right outside of the car. And other sorts of horrific things that are only present in this world of darkness, miserable hellhole. It took some time before the girl was actually reported as legitimately missing. And from beyond there, Joseph ends up following the trail of nothing. Because other than that bit there, and some periodic statements of this girl, Penelope Nelson, still being missing, which eventually gets dropped after a year. There's no further detail about it. She was noted to be wearing Christmassy type clothes, which, Joseph thinks is a little interesting. It being, since her disappearance was apparently in July 6, 1953. But, she apparently liked to dress up in those sorts of things, and there's not enough information in the newspaper about that. Found a particular with a beloved scarf that she really enjoyed. So that's what she was wearing at the time.
What year was that again?
She went missing on July 6, 1963.
Okay, then I think he has 2 more hours.
He definitely does. Say, piling on another 4 successes, Joseph is dipping into the microfilm to connect with other commonalities. And as it turns out, during that year, 1963, there were a dozen other girls around that age who all went missing. And it was all in instances involving the Majestic, as if it were some horrific place cursed with just this coincidental string of luck. And apparently, for whatever reason, some of them end up being in warmer months where it just so happens that the girl in question was wearing a scarf or a coat. Maybe she was cold. Maybe she just had a curious fashion sense. Sometimes kids are allowed to wear whatever they want by their parents because their parents were like, yeah, whatever. Joseph definitely knows that from all of his time with kids. Sometimes, a little girl might be like, I want to wear my princess costume, and then just wear that for an entire week. But for the most part, given the locale of New York, the other disappearances tend to happen in legitimately cold months. But they all end up having their own variety of scarf, and it ends up being the same sort of coincidental situation where the parents get distracted, and at the end, the child is missing. The story ends up getting carried on for a little bit, but these missing person cases just slip through the cracks, and the police stop looking. Because there are more important things to do than look for one little girl.
Are you gonna hate me for this? His crazy powers take him an hour?
He can certainly attempt to use the Eyes of Chaos he has recently developed, yes. In that case, I will go ahead and assign a difficulty 8 for this, with your perception plus occult. And I will force you to try to describe the situation that Joseph is attempting to do here with its Eyes of Chaos. You're going to have to describe your crazy powers to us.
Well, he can't exactly heat the microfilm up and pin it to a wall, so it's mostly representative in notes, but it's taking down every single note he can on everything he can think of to be important, and then essentially turning his notebook into a mess of lines trying to connect everything, and then staring at the lines until he goes a little bit more crazy. And it's, oh fuck, what's the roll again?
Perception plus occult, difficulty 8. Alright, looks like Joseph managed to score 1 success.
I have a question. What happens if you botch that?
Well, the same thing that would happen whenever you botch anything in White Wolf. I am burdened with the reality of trying to come up with something for a botch. Perhaps I would give him the completely wrong impression. Perhaps his demontation powers would shut down for 1d10 weeks.
Maybe he'd pick up a fresh derangement for a while.
Right, 1d10 weeks. I totally like that. It's a good number. It's not extreme. As Joseph is drawing lines, pursuing whatever sort of idea or perhaps foolery he has within his fractured mind, the lines themselves begin to blur and then move on their own accord before Joseph's eyes, turning into some sort of pencil-type animation here. The lines piece themselves together in rather immaculate and wonderful detail to depict a small girl, beautifully imaged, even in such detail, to be that of Penelope Nelson, the girl he saw, who had been seized from, apparently, a car by the curb, and he can see a beautifully decorated building behind with glimmering neon lights depicting the craze of movie at the time. The man his eyes are cold. That's what he is. A man ripping open the door and grabbing this little girl out. The man is bearded. The man is horrifically by the eyes. He has little devil horns on either side of his temple. The eyes, as depicted by the pencil, which apparently now is illustrating color, filled with its own sort of eternal glow. There's all the lines end up jumbling together, and now the girl is chained up in some sort of room with this evil bearded man laughing as he sits on a stool nearby, sharpening a blade with a stone. The little girl is screaming and crying incoherently, while the evil man in himself is saying words that are indecipherable, as if he's taunting her or just sort of humiliating her in any way he can. The intent behind the words is malevolent, but Joseph can't quite pick out why. And unfortunately, Joseph is shaken out of his reverie when the evil man comes up to the girl who is chained to that wall and slits her throat. Afterwards, the lines completely mix and jumble up all together again. A sort of spurt of red sort of soars out of the notebook and covers Joseph's eyes. Through the mist, the image itself changes again, focusing on this evil bearded man with horns still on his temples. The beard, however, had originally been a rich black. Now it has a good amount of gray in it, as he sits not on a stool, but on a simple cot by the looks of things, and rather than sharpening a knife, he is instead banging spoons on his knee, laughing all the while. and then the image fades.
Well, now that my notes are probably as crazy as Joseph's, I think he's done for the night.
Yeah, Joseph, coming out of his reverie, realizes that he has enough time to get back to his haven, and then and then it'll be nap time.
If stars... Oh, one question. Was there... I know this was in the 60s. Were there any pictures?
There was definitely a picture of the girl, Penelope Nelson, as provided by her parents, and there were pictures of all the other girls as well. You're actually free to invent their names however you see fit. I hadn't created their names. So if you'd like to come up with a dozen names of little girls who, for whatever reason, were wearing scarves and perhaps other wintry clothes whenever they were taken, you're welcome to do so. Pictures of them were all applied, and they, some are more current than others. None of them actually end up depicting, like, any of the scarves that you actually have. Except for Penelope's, as it turns out.
Yeah, I'll
Well-
be right back.
Come on, John. 12 names. Bang them out.
That was
Yeah.
a poor choice of words.
Yeah, especially regarding 6-year-old girls. I apologize.
Yeah, well, I think as he's heading out, he'll pass on the girls' names and just basically the very basic outline to Star.
He also obtained some date of births. They are all small girls, like in the 4 to 7-year-old range. Penelope Nelson herself was born on March 5th, 1958. And the date of her disappearance was July 6th, 1963.
Fun fact, Marcus is only 5 years older than her. And a day. I don't know why that came up.
Marcus spends his entire night and morning partying, and David went BRB.
You want me to make a hunting roll during that partying time? Just, cover everything that Marcus probably did?
Sure! You can make it a difficulty 3.
That's actually quite close to the music I'm listening to right now.
Now you can make a self-control roll at difficulty 8. Do you
Nope.
hear that? The entire night now, Marcus talks about one song.
That one song.
That with that epic botch there, the entire night. Eventually really annoying people and getting on their nerves, but there's that one song.
Like, who sings that song? I think I've heard that song before, but... You mean... Really? Those guys? Huh. Do you know if they're playing anytime soon? I mean, 'cause that song spoke to me, man.
Are you sure they played that song? I didn't think they did anything good.
I mean, they did one decent thing, but it wasn't this. 3 hours later, I'm still talking about the song. Dude, they left like 5 hours ago.
It's like, what was the name of the song again? Are you sure?
I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
Chad.
Marcus's night.
And Marcus is like, woo, fuck yeah! This song! Fucking manages to rig like the sound player so that the song keeps coming up for like a half hour.
30
Someone
is like,
fucking
yeah,
disabled it.
yeah, the nightclub cleared out pretty quickly after the same song kept playing for like almost an hour, I guess. Yeah, that's Marcus's night. He had a fun time.
Using his drunken mastery to somehow perfectly sabotage the inner workings of the electronics without anyone realizing it was him.
If Drunken Mastery was an actual, like, a feat you could take in this, or some merit, I might have taken it. I don't know what it would do, but I would have taken it nonetheless.
It probably would have given you some kind of bonuses to go along with your intelligence and dexterity penalties.
Well, now that you've returned, Aaron, what does David do after he spends some hours fiddling with the basic foundation of security?
Well, about what time is it at this point?
For him, we'll say 3.
Well, then he's probably going to go hunting and then tuck in.
Give me your hunting roll at difficulty 3, and then you can tuck in.
All right.
David Green manages to arrive on the scene, dispensing justice the best way he knows how, and as he's feeding upon the vitae of someone who was going to victimize another, he sort of has the flickering sense of this man in particular who was a mugger, just a fleeting image of a second or two, the feeling of him being a boy once and crying in a corner as a belt was being lashed out at him.
Yep. Victims end up making more victims.
As such,
As is-
David is able to... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as is tradition. I was just making
As is
comments.
tradition.
As is tradition indeed. Anyway, David is able to return back to his haven without problems, as is Joseph and Marcus, and Byron was already there. As the sun rises on Saturday, May 9th, 1998. It's a beautiful morning. Ah. Think I'll go outside and play. Now I'm dead. And then the sun sets. And it's about around 10:05 p.m., something around there or another, that the 4 kindred end up awakening, each losing a point of vitae in the process. Marcus, of course, still has his problems with moments from his life, peeking out the edge of his consciousness. He's still doing better, though, than what he had been, since the ghost apparently isn't right on top of his ass any longer. Joseph, for his part, ends up awakening towards, the ghouls are clearly dissatisfied. They merely just give him a status report of what sorts of basically childish pranks that are conducted in the church that, are clearly funny to the kid, or perhaps maybe aren't even funny. She's just being vindictive and vengeful. But, perhaps to people who come seeking, food or aid or spiritual guidance, the sorts of things they see and experience, it's essentially a similar repeat of what happened yesterday. When you can fill in the blanks, the details in your heads of what the little girl might have done to inconvenience life.
Well, I think Joseph's gonna go ahead and do a group call.
Okay. As everyone finishes their beginning morning rituals and routines, after Joseph finishes getting his dissemination of information, the Malkavian makes a call to you.
Hey, I've got a quick question. How long does Obfuscate 3 last?
As far as I'm aware, since there's no nothing maintained on that, you could make it last for the entire night if you wanted to.
Alright, that's kind of what I figured.
Until you got into a situation that would break Obfuscate. Like, if you ever got into some sort of crazy reason, like maybe someone tried to interact with your face and it wasn't like it was supposed to be.
Where the fuck is that nose?
There you go. But as far as I'm aware, Obfuscate is one of those things that anyone with that discipline can sustain easily. And since White Wolf is pretty fucking vague, the matter, and they don't have a particular duration listed as far as I know for Obfuscate 3, that's pretty much in your bag.
Cool. Alright, then David will answer the group call.
So, the ghost thing, I've made a little bit of headway. And I'd like to meet up in Astoria Estates if you guys have the time.
Okay. Marcus is trying to keep the his interest in his voice hidden, and it's not really working well.
Alright, I'll try to be there soon.
I'll be right there. Do you need me to bring any of the research notes I took a few nights ago?
If you have anything, sure, bring it on. If there's something useful, then we'll see. I have my own, and either which way.
Sure. Byron will have 2 or 3 pages, mostly crossed off things that it can't be, but I don't know. Maybe he'll make a lucky roll and there'll be something there for you, but he'll bring it.
And Joseph will head himself.
Okay. Naturally, the 3 folks who actually live in Astoria will arrive at the Astoria Estates first. You guys wanted to interact before Joseph got there, that would be your chance.
I've actually got another question about Obfuscate 3.
Alright.
Is it possible to activate it as an extended action to try to build up more successes?
I do not think so, no. You would have to basically, if you didn't like what happened, you'd have to scrub it out and try again.
Alright, well, I'm gonna try and activate it again before heading out. Just to try to look generally human, show it off a little bit.
Okay. You, still a process by which David is adjusting. He looks roughly the same, not as altered as, what he appears to be, but, he does appear to still be mortal. Well, rather, he appears as a mortal. It's similar to David that anyone who, has interacted with David and had dealings in the past, like close associates or friends, as you might call them, would be able to recognize it, just be a double take situation.
Right, I was thinking it would basically look like him, just less inhuman.
Yes. Actually have a coloration of your skin.
A flattish nose instead of no nose. That sort of thing. Alright, then he's gonna I don't know where to restore his states.
No, I don't think the extended action situation is something that can apply, because that'd just be too powerful. Then anyone could eventually just pile on 5 successes and completely alter who they are, who they appear to be.
That's fine. I was just wondering if I could do something like, I don't know, spend an hour or two putting together the perfect disguise.
I mean, you could certainly try to disguise yourself even better so that you looked, more presentable and more human, but that wouldn't be something that you'd handle with Obfuscate 3. That'd be something that you'd handle with disguise, like your mask, for instance, but less extreme.
Right. Or it'd be something I'd have to hope I roll well enough on.
Copious amounts of makeup. Vampires do
Byron.
spend a lot of time in their morning or their nightly rituals applying that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it all depends on how long it takes you to make the face to begin with. So I guess you could just keep re-rolling until you botched or made 3 successes.
I mean, I think it's just a normal 1-round action like an attack, but
As far as I'm
the
aware,
real
it's a
risk
normal
is
1-round action too.
the real risk is with only 3 dice in the pool. I think that David would have a much better chance of getting a botch than getting the 3 successes necessary to look how he wants to look.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know how the numbers add up, but I wouldn't want to take that chance either.
Yeah, basically, he needs to get 3 successes in order to look how he wants to look. 2 successes to look completely unlike himself, but not necessarily quite how he wants to look, and 1 success to just look like a normal, albeit ugly mortal that still has the same height and build and the just basic alterations to his normal features.
And any sort of changes at all that would actually involve improving his appearance, like disguising himself as a person more attractive, would cost blood points.
So in order to make himself look like, say, for example, what he looked like before getting embraced, he would need 3 successes and 2 blood points. So right now he's mostly just settling for the free 1 success, making himself look like a, kind of like a burn victim, I suppose.
And as for what happens with a botch, what I'd probably end up doing in that situation is, basically your character thinks he has fantastically succeeded and achieved everything that he ever wanted to with this mask of 1,000 faces, when in fact he actually looks he's obfuscated his own mind.
Perfect.
Nice. So yeah, David's probably going to keep working on improving his ability to do this before he actually tries to bring his old face back or something. But for now, he can walk around in public.
Sure we can.
Yeah.
And assuming everyone is not doing anything in between, I will tell you what Byron's reaction is to seeing David Green when he gets to Astoria Realty or Estates.
Yeah, David with like a nose and eyebrows and ears.
You guys can even go ahead and put yourselves on the Astoria Estates map, because it might get bombed.
No.
Well, Byron will walk up to David and say, "You look a little different. Have you been taking Barbizon night classes behind our back?"
I figured out how to make a sort of disguise.
Fantastic. Sure as heck beats that mask you've been wearing everywhere.
I haven't exactly been wearing it everywhere, but it's nice to be able to buy things from a store again.
Good news, and I have a little bit of good news as well. I stopped by Elysium last night, and just so happens Valentine was there speaking with Gavin and another one of the childer of Michaela, and I waited for Gavin to leave, and I think I smoothed over some of the fallout from the tiff that Gavin and I had. So there's that.
So you kicked his ass or something?
No, it was more like making nice with Valentine and the girl Gabrielle. Who knows what they truly think of the matter, but it's I think some of the sting might be alleviated. But no, don't get me wrong. I still think that Gavin needs the rug pulled out from under him somewhere.
So what's going on with you, Marcus?
Mostly been doing what I normally do. Party. Wonder who that band is that played that one song last night. I still don't remember. All I know is the song was really good. I don't remember the song name either, but all I remember was it was really good. Like, you don't even believe it was that good.
I probably don't believe it was that good. Oh, and Byron, I managed to find a warehouse, so on the off chance that Evelyn is still looking into it, you can tell her it's been resolved.
Good, good. I was planning to call her and leave a message sometime tonight or tomorrow night, actually. So I'll tell her then.
So while we're waiting for Joseph to arrive, I was wondering if the two of you would want to meet my ghoul and soon ghouls at all.
I think it might be a good idea. They should at least know our faces.
That's what I was thinking.
And on that, yeah, and on that note, did you want all of these ghouls of you, or did you want to spread it around a little bit? I'm thinking mostly of if domain security is an issue, if something were to happen to one of us, like you were put into torpor for a month at one point, we might want to spread around the loyalty, shall we say.
It could definitely be a good idea. After all, I'm more concerned with the fact that the ghouls might be distracted if one of us is in torpor. It's up to you two. Do you want to deal with managing the ghouls, managing our security?
I am not opposed to it. It looks like the City Hall thing is fallen through, or at least put on indefinite hiatus for a while for me. So whichever way it works, unless I can think of something else to do in that regard. But I will note that we may want to bring this up with Joseph as well. I don't know about you two, but I've noticed that he has grown, and Byron is at a loss for words, distant maybe with us. I don't know. I think we need to bring him back in somehow.
Yeah, he seems to be interacting with us less. It makes me worry. He tends to go off on his own too much as it is.
True, but figure if we can't stop him from doing it, at least we can point him in the right direction, and maybe he'll duel one of those two. You know, up to you. Up to you. I would bring him into the loop regardless and see what he has to say.
That's definitely fair. Well, if you had to pick one of the two, which would you rather be managing, the dispatcher or the beat cop?
Well, only one of them's a girl, so that's my vote. But
David
whichever
will
way.
roll his eyes at that.
Byron, from his part, he'll just kind of smirk a little sheepishly. But yeah, I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. He'll figure that perhaps the dispatcher would be an easier thing for him to manage, just because he doesn't know what a cop does. He figures actually Joseph would be really good for Michelle Espada because he was a cop, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll know kind of what to tell her to do.
It's true, and something to keep in mind is that David was a cop for a while, but for a much bigger portion, he was a lawyer.
Right. I mean, he had the job while he was going to law school, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Precisely. And then as soon as he got his degree, he transitioned over into being an ADA.
Right. Yeah, so I think the most intelligent, barring the sex of the person involved, is I should ghoul John, and we'll see what Joseph has to say about Michelle. And maybe he wants to take the dispatcher. I mean, Byron will just shrug. I mean, for his part...
Depending on what Joseph has to say tonight, he might prove to, for all we know, he's gotten so much on his plate that he won't have time to deal with this.
That is true too.
We could always get more people within the 114th if you all want to have an increased presence in our security. For that matter, adding even more people down the line might help us secure our hold even more over our domain.
Agreed.
I definitely have time to be doing this at the moment, so...
So do I. My plate is pretty much entirely clear. My big thing was the City Hall thing, and that, like I said, is not happening anytime soon.
Marcus, how's the ghost thing going on your end? I heard you were going to go see someone about it. Did you visit
I talked to the man. He seemed willing to help, but I really need more information, like the kid's name and other crap.
Mm.
Until then, he seemed like, he knew what he was talking about.
And was he Giovanni or what?
No, he was an old man.
Was he mortal?
As far as I could tell, but then again, I really didn't look that hard. I didn't look at his aura or anything because I didn't really think to try.
You, maybe you should next time you're there, if you, don't think it'll offend him.
Marcus just shrugs.
Where'd you meet him?
At his place up in Yonkers.
Yonkers?
Yep.
Is that outside of officially Camarilla-controlled territories within New York City?
Nah. I mean, the greater, New York City metropolitan area is pretty far sweeping. The Sabbat, in essence, are sort of, are on the other side of the Hudson River, I suppose you could say. And, past then, you just get into, it might just be more independent than anything else. It's definitely not Sabbat controlled per se, but it's not, obviously there's not a strong enough presence here in New York City the way it is. You could probably find just about anything out there.
Because I know it's pretty far outside of the normal Manhattan center.
Yeah. It's not that far above the Bronx, proceeding down any of the numerous roads leading down the New York City metropolitan area. It wouldn't take that long. Of course, Marcus actually went further than Yonkers. He went to Ardsley, which is further distant. But it's how Marcus remembers things. Yonkers.
Yonkers,
just-
Ardsley, whatever.
I mean, for someone who grew up in South Manhattan, he is pretty far out of the way. All right, David will nod and say, "Be careful with necromancers. I certainly don't know what the fuck they're capable of."
Oh, I'll be careful. You can count on that.
Good. So, any of you know what Joseph wants to talk about?